Welcome to Cash Chats with me, Andy Webb from BeCleverWithYourCash.com. This is the podcast to help you make the most of your money. In episode 393, it's just me, solo ep, no media this time, but I've got plenty to take you through, including the best direct debits you can set up, quick and easy ones that will help you take advantage of all those bank switching deals. I'm also going to give you a hack to avoid some of those pricey 0870 and 0845 phone numbers. Hopefully save you a fair amount on your bill. All of that plus our deals of the week. So make sure you stay tuned for all of it. Let's get into it. This is episode 393 of Cash Chats. So we can start off talking about this hack to avoid those pricey phone numbers, because it's something that I used to use a huge amount 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. But over the most recent years, it's not something I've actually come across at all. The need to use it has kind of disappeared a lot. So I was really surprised the other day when I had to phone someone and it was 0845. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Back of my mind, I shouldn't be dialing this. Used to be natural for me to do this, but these things after you forget about it. So if I've forgotten about this, then maybe you have as well. Or maybe you weren't even aware in the first place. And these numbers, there's a number of them. If you call them from your mobile phone, they're not going to be included in your minutes and they are going to be really expensive. So let me take you through what you need to know here. So the numbers you need to be scared of here. I mean scared, but you know what I mean. 0842, 0843, 0844, 0845, 0870, 0871, 0872, 0873, 09 and 118. If the number starts with any of those, you're going to get charged a number of different things. So it could be an expensive, just per minute charge. There could be an access charge on top of that as well. It all varies by network. You absolutely want to avoid all of those. And appreciate that could be a little bit confusing, can't you? Because there are plenty of numbers that start 08, which are fine to use, not just 0800. There's loads more. Now, I say this is not as bad as it used to be. A lot of these have been replaced by the likes of 0300, 0330, things like that, which are more your local rate, which will be included in your minutes. But say you kind of, they're not all like that. So what do you want to do? If you see one of these numbers that you need to call, that's what comes along. And it may well be that this is an old number that's not really used anymore, but if you've Googled a number to find, it might be brought up an old page which has that as the main number. Really what you do is search for a different one, an alternative one. The website that I've used for years, it's pretty basic, right? And obviously the less people required to use this, the more likely the information could be out of date. But this is called Say No to 0870. But it is really, really good. And this is what I used again just the other day to find this alternative number. The one that came up for me that was listed there that someone, and they'd gone for this experience, they found this other number, was an 0208 number. So again, I used that inclusively within my minutes on my mobile. Didn't cost me anything. And actually, I was on hold for quite a long time with this call. So potentially would have cost me really a huge amount of cash if I'd gone down that initial route. So that's the first thing to do, try that route. Now, if you can't do that or nothing pops up, then another alternative is to use, try and see if there's an overseas number. Again, this is less of a problem than it used to be because most of the places have now gone to that kind of free or local rate numbers. But this is where they might have, if you call from overseas, you wouldn't be able to call on those numbers or it would be ridiculously expensive. So they would give you +44 and then that local rate number. So do have a look for that as well. If you really can't find another number, and this might be difficult for many of us now because I don't have a landline, but that is your other option. If you really have to call one of these numbers, again, it is so rare now, but it's worth just being aware of it. Use a landline instead because that is likely to be cheaper. Still not going to be cheap, but it will be cheaper. Or you might find more and more now, potentially why I've not come across this as much as I used to, is using web chat. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it can take forever to do this a lot of the time, but you may find that a web chat is a much more cheaper and faster way to get through to people overall. What I tend to do when I'm on web chat is I'm doing something else at the same time. So if they're taking ever to reply to me, it doesn't matter because I'm doing something also. Nice quick one for you there. Don't forget, obviously, with mobile phones, there are so many other ways that you can bring down your costs. So we've got plenty of content over on the site for that. Now, if you are watching the podcast or listening to the podcast on YouTube, our section talking about those quick and easy direct debits that you might want to set up in order to qualify for bank switching deals is in a separate video. So just click through to that one now, or better wait until I've gone through the deals of the week now. So the deals of the week for episode 393 of Cash Chats. First of all, there is a bank switching deal, and I have covered that in more detail over at BeCleverWithYourCash.com and on a video on the YouTube channel, but I'll share it for you guys who are just listening to the podcast here. This is from the Cooperative Bank. This offer is a little bit complicated, so I'm not going to go through all the ins and outs. You'll need to read the article or watch the video to get all the information because there's a fair amount there to cover. But this is £75 for the initial switch, then potentially another £75 if you meet further criteria. And that other 75 quid is probably going to be due in about 6 months' time. So 150 quid all in, which isn't too bad if you've never had a switch from offer from Co-op in the past, or at least not since the last 18 months or so. Part of this deal, the requirements to get both those part of the offers, is spending on your debit card, which I did detail with you in the episode just a few weeks ago. So look at those hacks to maybe make that a little bit easier, but it is quite a lot of admin you have to do to trigger this every month. But also, to get the second amount, you need to open up their regular saver. Now, their regular saver pays 7%, which is pretty decent, right? So I definitely would be taking a look at that anyway. It's only available to current account holders. So combine these things together, it might be worth it. If you meet all those different parts of that criteria, 150 quid cash plus potentially 120 quid interest you might be getting over 12 months if you put the full amount to that regular saver. Make this one a pretty lucrative one all round. But again, a fair number of hoops you have to jump through, which might put a number of you off. We've got details of all the other banks which are in deals right now. Don't forget over at becleverwithyourcash.com/banks. A couple of other quick ones for you. Looks like there is a special offer if you shop your IKEA family, but via the IKEA app. Spend more than £100 and there's 20 quid off you can use. That one's only valid for this week, so it's definitely worth taking a look at that if there's something you want to buy at IKEA. If you have a club card account, many of you do, have a look. Go into the app, check the coupons, the offers thing that are showing there, and you may well see 3 months free Disney Plus. Not everyone's got this one, and you won't be able to use it if you already got a subscription to Disney Plus, which hopefully you already have via some of the hacks we've shared in the past. But if you haven't, that's a good one to take you through the summer. Just bear in mind at the end of those 3 months, you will have to, it will renew at the full price. So you want to cancel it before that happens if you don't want to keep paying for it. A cinema deal for you on the 6th of July, Cineworld are doing £4 tickets for Screen X. It's actually £3, but if you book online, there's another £1 on top of that. So if you're doing it that way, 4 quid. If you book it in the cinema itself, it's 3 quid. Screen X seems to be this sort of 3 different screens. So you've got the main film in front of you, but then for some scenes, it envelops you all around. There's obviously not a huge number of releases available, but it's a good thing to be doing. Cheap cinema day out if you want to take advantage of that. And the last one to tell you about it is for Londoners here. June is London Restaurant Festival month. There are some very, very, very expensive events being put up as part of that. Ignore those unless you want to sort of splash out 200 quid for some celebrity meal. Instead, have a look at the open table restaurant deals that are going on, again, throughout June. Often these are set meals, which might be normal ones that are running with a little bit extra on top, or they might be ones that restaurants that don't normally do this. It could be a good opportunity for you to hit some of those restaurants that you like and save yourself some cash. More information about all of these and everything else spoken about over at becleverwithyourcash.com. That is it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll be back with another episode later in this week, detailing exactly what the Bank of England have decided to do with the base rate. With the election on the horizon, it's very unlikely there's going to be a cut this time, but you never know, and we'll let you know what happens and what it means for your money. My name's Andy Webb. Till next time, cheers.